Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're glad that you're here with us today, broadcasting live from the Minnesota State Fair.
Yeah, if you're on the way to the fair right now, stop by and see us. You still have time. And at noon, we're going to start our quiz show during the extreme hour.
Or 11. At 11.
Oh, gosh. I'm sorry. At 11. Scratch that. At 11. If you get here by 11, stop by. We're at the corner of Murphy and Underwood by the Pet Center, and we are giving away lots of great prizes.
Yes, we are. And hundreds of dollars worth of prizes, not only for the folks here at the State Fair, but also for our listeners. Give us a call, 651-289-4488. And by the way, we have a free subscription, a bi-monthly newsletter that we give away. A lot of the topics we talk about regularly on the radio show is covered in further detail, and it's yours free. All you have to do is give us a call during the week at New Concepts at 952-922-2500. Ask for Courtney. She'll make sure that you start receiving your free subscription. If you're walking by here at the State Fair, we have some of our lovely interns and assistants today helping us out, and they can sign up right here.
That's right. You know what? If you live in a homeowners association, you should really sign up for this free newsletter. You won't believe the information you can get. And as Gene said, our lovely assistants here today can take your name, address, or email address, and you can get that newsletter either by mail or by email.
Now, and if you're walking by right now here at the State Fair and you live in a homeowners association and you've always wanted to get something off your chest about what it means to live in an HOA, either what you like or don't like,
now's the time.
We'll give you that free time here on the air.
You can have time on our microphone. You can be on the air to tell us your experiences in your homeowners association.
Yeah. And what we were just talking about last week, we had a listener who wrote us an email telling us about his experience.
Yeah.
And his experience is that the homeowner association, and I think most people probably understand, is responsible for taking care of collectively all of the outside elements that are shared by the homeowners.
Yep.
So the roof that you have over your home and extends over another person, that's covered by the association. The siding, asphalt, things of this nature, landscaping. But here we have in the homeowners association that doesn't want to take that responsibility. They want to put that on the shoulders of the individual homeowner, and they had a claim just a couple years ago, and here was probably, I bet you with the number of units that they're talking about, this was easily getting up to about $1 million claim, I bet.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And now here they are asking all homeowners to be responsible for their own insurance claim. What do you think about that, Tony?
Well, it's kind of the opposite, or the contra side to our first story today. This sounds to me like the homeowners association is trying to back down from its contractual obligations, what it agreed to do when you bought your home.
Exactly.
at this community. When you bought your home, you were told the homeowners association was going to take care of maintenance for all the commonly owned elements of the property, and you've listed some of those: the roof, the siding, the asphalt, the concrete, the lawns. That's usually commonly owned in a townhome association. And now the association is backing down from that. Now, I'm assuming that they did this correctly. Our writer does not say that they didn't.
Although he did give us a clue here a little bit. He said when he talked about having the association take the responsibility for the roofs, out of the 64, 20 thought it was a good idea. So apparently 44 of the homeowners did say, hey, you know what, we think it's good that we just handle this ourselves.
Individually. Okay, so they did get the consensus of their homeowners, which is the right thing to do. And if they're allowed to alter their governing documents, if they followed what their documents say about amending the documents, then they probably did this legally.
And here's a couple of the issues that I'm concerned with a story like this. When you ask each individual homeowner to be responsible for their portion of repairing the roof, you're going to have a part where the roof that you are repairing and completing is now going to overlap your neighbors. Now, in the future at some point when there happens to be a leak, and it happens to be right in that general vicinity where two different contractors did the work.
Yep.
Who's responsible?
Yep. It gets very, very complex, it can get very ugly. Or how about this? I can afford to replace my roof this year, but you can't. My neighbor can't. So I'm risking my interior if your roof starts to leak, correct?
Yep.
You know, I've had that situation in an association where decks were contiguous, but each owner was held responsible for their own deck, and these were flat roof decks over garages. So they had a roof under them, a membrane, and then a deck built on top of it, and the property was 35 years old. So guess what was happening? A lot of these roofs over the garages had started to leak, and the association was going through this process of requiring each individual owner to rebuild their garage roof and their deck, but they had to coordinate it with their neighbors because one would affect the other. It was an almost impossible task.
It becomes a nightmare, doesn't it?
There's a reason you have a homeowners association, and that's to take care of these things.
Here's a couple of things I thought was interesting about the email that we've received here. Now, if you live in a townhome association that was built prior to the state statutes in that was 1994.
June of 1994.
For what's called MCIWA, for the Minnesota Common Interest Ownership Act, which is the state statute or law that governs what can and can't happen in a homeowners association.
That's right.
So they were before this, and it there was a grandfathering in where it said if you live in a townhome that was built prior to this time, you were not considered responsible to adhere to everything that is written in MCIWA.
No, you weren't governed by MCIWA.
Because the state said, we're going to recognize you had another contract agreement.
That's right, when you purchased.
Before, and we're going to grandfather that in so you can continue to relate to one another this way.
You can operate the way you always have unless you choose to opt into this new legislation.
Well, this person writing in here refers to saying that our association voted to opt out.
Okay.
And I want to make a correction. You can't opt out of MCIWA.
Of state statute.
Yeah, people can a lot of times, if you live in a homeowners association, you can opt in and say, we're going to choose to go by the state statute.
This is for townhomes, by the way. This isn't for condos.
That's right, condominiums. It's always been the case. They're always under MCIWA. But a townhome can opt in to agree to those rules and those state statutes, but you can't opt out. It's the same thing. You may have an old home in South Minneapolis, and you don't have the electrical wiring up to date. Well,
it's not up to the most recent code.
That's right. So the state will allow you to be able to have grandfathered in the code that was there at the time.
That's right.
However, if you go ahead and update that and put in a new code for your electrical wiring, you can't go back and say, I'm going to go back the way it was.
No, at that time you have to bring it up to date.
And then the same thing here too. If you are in MCIWA, if you're being run that way with your homeowners association, you can't at a later time say, oh, we're going to choose to opt out.
You're right.
Now, and in this particular case, I think, Tony, you and I probably both agree, we are very much in favor of individual rights.
Absolutely we are. You hear that from us week after week after week.
And so, I mean, there's probably no bigger advocate for that other than us. And a lot of times I'm surprised. I would love to be able to see a homeowner association be able to have the ability to do more than they're able to do. But unfortunately, the legislature establishes laws that need to be abided by.
Right.
And in this particular case, that's the case here with this particular association, and that deals with their reserve funds, the money that they have to set aside for the replacement of the roofs and siding and all the capital items that a large property needs to have replaced. I'd like us to talk about that, but I'm looking. It looks like we're getting a signal to go to break. So when we come back, let's talk about that. And again, we'd love to hear from you. What do you think about this situation that's going on? Is this homeowner association handling it right? give us a call, 651-289-4488. We'll be back after these messages.